mortal remains have just reached. I'm being joined at this point by Aarti Jairath, who's a senior journalist, as well as Aditi Fadnis, who are joining us at this point. In terms of international politics or diplomacy, Aarti Jairath, the fact that Dr. Singh maintained relations with the United States helped sort of bring an impetus to where India-US relationship stands today, whether that's trade or whether that's diplomacy on other fronts, education, import, defense as well, ma'am.
Agriculture, another field in which a lot of Indo-US cooperation is going on. Yes, I mean, I think, as I said, I think the process started with Vajpayee, but Manmohan Singh really accelerated that relationship. And, Manmohan Singh and George Bush, who was the president at that time, they shared an excellent rapport, as did Manmohan Singh with Obama, who came after Bush. In fact, Obama had so much respect for Manmohan Singh. You know, he called him his guru because he said every time he met Manmohan Singh, he learned something new. There was so much to talk about. So, but it was not just a personal rapport. I think, both Manmohan Singh and George Bush were really invested in...
साइड चलूँगा
Are the visuals coming in from Nigambodh Ghat, where the last rites are going to be taking place. Remember, at this point, the state honours are starting with the ceremonial march with the mortal remains of Dr. Singh. Aarti Jairath, I'm sorry we had to interrupt you there. We were bringing in the live visuals coming in from Nigambodh Ghat. I'll let you finish your thought, ma'am.
Yeah, so as I was saying, I think that, Manmohan Singh, sort of really accelerated and built on a process that began during Vajpayee's premiership. And, George Bush, who was the president of the United States at that time, shared an excellent rapport with Manmohan Singh. But apart from their rapport, I think both of them were deeply invested in building this relationship because, the Soviet Union had collapsed at the end of the Cold War. And I think Manmohan Singh felt that, there were many things that the US could give India, to help in development and, moving ahead and becoming part of the world, sort of economy, getting onto the high table and so on. And so he really pushed, and so did George Bush. When that NSG thing happened, after we signed the nuclear deal, and NSG had to give us waivers for accessing certain high-end technology, it was really George Bush who pulled out the stops and, personally rang up, other European world leaders and said that this has to be done for India. So, this is what I'm saying, as an economist, he realized that for India to grow economically, you needed technology, you needed access to all kinds of technology, not just nuclear technology, but also to, technology for, agriculture, for, developing your communication system and so on and so forth. So, he pushed for that and he felt the United States was the best source for this. the United States and its Western allies. So he really pushed this relationship, and I think today we're seeing the benefit of it. Yes, there are people who have reservations about the neoliberal economic policies and getting too close to the United States, because one downside of this, building the relationship with the US was that we ignored our traditional relationship with Russia.
Right.
And, in fact, at one point there was a kind of coldness that developed between Russia and India, which I think now the Modi government has moved to correct, so that, there is some balance again in our, in our relationships with other countries.
Absolutely. Stay on with us. These, of course, visuals coming in from the Nigambodh Ghat. We can see the Congress delegation following as the mortal remains are being taken into Nigambodh Ghat, where the military honours will be done. We can see Rahul Gandhi Kharge as well leading the delegation there, as well as Priyanka Gandhi, as the Congress leaders have arrived from the AICC headquarters to Nigambodh Ghat, where top dignitaries will now be paying respect. Remember, earlier Congress leaders had paid respects and laid wreath to Dr. Singh at the AICC headquarters. Now, of course, visuals that we're getting for you are from Nigambodh Ghat, where the last rites will take place, and before that, the military honours will take place, where top military officials, as well as Prime Minister, President and Vice President, as well as Lok Sabha Speaker, will be laying wreath and paying their respects to Dr. Singh. Let me bring in Aditi Fadnis. Ma'am, now in terms of his strategy to maintain peace and stability in South Asia, since we're talking about his diplomacy and that side of his governance, what role do you think he played as far as bringing the global South forward?
It was really difficult for him because while his personal conviction was to have friendly relations with Pakistan, it was during his tenure in 2008 that the Mumbai attacks took place. And he was personally very shattered by those events. So he did try to normalize relations. He was very keen to make things better for South Asia. But at that time, it was there were a lot of pressures, and his idea was to make India a better place and make India a place where the South Asian nations would find it easier to do business. So, in fact, he said on record many times that now that India is a liberalized economy, the South Asian nations should take advantage of this and leverage the opportunities that were available to them.
Absolutely. We're getting in visuals now from Nigambodh Ghat. What we can see is that Rajnath Singh, Defence Minister, as well as JP Nadda, Amit Shah have arrived at Nigambodh Ghat, is what we're learning. That's the latest update. We can also see Vice President Dhankar, who's arrived there at Nigambodh Ghat. There, of course, dignitaries were arriving. I think that's the Prime Minister who's just entered Nigambodh Ghat as well. These are the latest details that we're bringing for you from Nigambodh Ghat, where the last rites are going to take place. Remember, Dr. Singh's last rites will be preceded by military honours. These are visuals of his mortal remains being placed there for the top dignitaries and leaders to be placing wreath and paying their honours. This will, of course, start with the Defence Secretary and then move on to the Chief of Defence Staff. They are going to be, of course, chiefs of the various defence forces who will be paying their respects first, then followed by the Defence Minister. Then, of course, comes the Vice President, the Lok Sabha Speaker, the Prime Minister, the President as well will be paying respects before the cremation and the last rites that take place in about an hour from now is what we're expecting. Aarti Jairath, now talking about, earlier as well, we were discussing politics surrounding the memorial for Dr. Singh, and the former media advisor to Dr. Singh, in fact, had a very interesting point that his legacy must be remembered in more intellectual things. Of course, a memorial is important, but things like a scholarship or perhaps a university is how Dr. Singh would have liked him to be remembered.
Absolutely. I think, that would be a really huge tribute to Manmohan Singh to set up a university in his name, or, I don't know about a scholarship, but a university which would be an institution And I think that is because he started out as an academic. And, that's where his heart really lay. A kind of a sculpture or a piece of stone, on the banks of the Yamuna in Rajghat is not, what Dr. Singh would like to be remembered by. And, he's also not the kind of leader who, had an emotional connect with the people of India. Say unlike Jawaharlal Nehru as the first Prime Minister, or Mahatma Gandhi as a founder of the nation, the father of the nation. They have an emotional connect with common people. Manmohan Singh was much more an intellectual, and therefore his connect is really with the intellectual elite, with the middle classes, with the educated persons. And, for them, it makes much more sense to have a kind of university named after Manmohan Singh, where they can send their children and remember, his contribution to the nation. But, can I add to some points that Aditi made about the, neighborhood
Yes, ma'am.
and his policy towards the neighborhood? So, as she said, it was very, very difficult for him because the Mumbai terror strikes happened during his tenure. But,
Right.
if we compare...
Aarti Jairat, ma'am,
compare
I'm
the-
really sorry. I'm going to have to interrupt you.
Yeah.
We'll take a short break and be right back. We'll let you complete your thought right after this short break. Stay with us.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh passes away at 92. State funeral shortly. Politics over Dr. Singh's memorial. Congress demands appropriate location. Government ensures to allocate separate space. Formula E race case haunts KTR. ED summons BRS working president to appear before it on January 7th. US President Donald Trump has raised concerns about China's expanding influence in the Panama Canal.
Mahakumbh, a festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
2024, the year that was, when India welcomed Ram. When India decided,
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी
when Jammu and Kashmir turned a historic leaf,
as Chief Minister for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir.
when India mourned, when India celebrated, when India protested, when India felt proud, when India scaled new heights. NDTV brought it all to you, your trusted news destination, yesterday, today and tomorrow.
A very warm welcome to the first edition of the NDTV Emerging Business Conclave 2024.
एमएसएमई विभाग एक महत्वपूर्ण विभाग है.
We have to think about what is brand India. India will always stand for democracy. We will always be one of the largest investors in the world.
It is also very, very important that these MSMEs grow.
We are seeing that women are coming up in many other sectors apart from the traditional sectors.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views. We bring you stories that matter and impact your lives. News that informs and keeps you ahead.
From Maximum City, Mumbai,
To the seat of governance, Delhi, NDTV brings to you the best breakfast show. The breakfast show only on NDTV 24/7 every morning at 8 a.m.
NDTV proudly upholds its legacy of trust and credibility. According to the prestigious Reuters Institute's Digital News Report 2024, NDTV is the top-most news platform in the country. Number one in both online and offline reach in India. Beating all its competition, NDTV stands for trust.
We are able to maintain the democratic fabric and the democratic system.
I want to do something that can make a difference.
लगातार जनता की आवाज
The nation is bidding farewell to Dr. Manmohan Singh. The last rites will take place shortly. As of now, the military honour is taking place at Nigambodh Ghat. Remember, top dignitaries are arriving at Nigambodh Ghat. That includes the Prime Minister as well. Several leaders are already there. The Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, who will also be laying wreath at the Nigambodh Ghat. We also have JP Nadda, Amit Shah, who have already reached the Nigambodh Ghat to pay their last respects. Remember, Dr. Singh's last rites will take place and will be preceded by military honours at the Nigambodh Ghat. That is set to start anytime. But we'll also be discussing the details and the legacy that has been left behind by Dr. Singh. I'm being joined by senior journalists Aarti Jairat and Aditi Fadnis with us as well. Aarti Jairat, I'm sorry we had to interrupt you earlier, but you can continue your thought about, you were talking about the legacy that Dr. Singh has left behind and how he would like to be remembered.
Yeah, so I was actually adding to what Aditi Fadnis had said about, his whole, policy, the neighborhood policy. He was very, very keen to build relations with Pakistan, to establish, peace, and to somehow resolve this vexed issue between the two of us. And he came very close to it. Unfortunately for him, in 2008, we had those Mumbai terror strikes.
Right.
And, again, I think, we have to give it to Manmohan Singh and, of course, his advisors, that instead of creating the kind of situation we see today in the Middle East, they exercised strategic restraint and opted for coercive diplomacy rather than a retaliatory strike against Pakistan. Mind you, he was under a lot of pressure. There were many people who felt that we needed to respond to Pakistan in the same way that Pakistan had, sort of struck us. But, he and his core advisors put their foot down. And I think that coercive diplomacy strategy worked really well because the world began to realize what we had been saying for years, that Pakistan is the source of cross-border terrorism in India. And, I think that, this whole sort of process of isolating Pakistan all over and imposing restrictions began with that. Unfortunately for him, when he came back for a second term, and then one of his first foreign visits was to Sharm el-Sheikh, where he signed that agreement with, the then Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif. And he came back hoping that agreement would pave the way for a resolution of the dispute between India and Pakistan and convert the LOC into a recognized border. But because of the terror strike that had happened in 2008, emotions were running very high here. And the opposition, of course, was, jumped down his throat on this, but so did people in his own party. And, that was one of the things that Manmohan Singh had to walk back on.
Right.
He actually had to kind of almost disown that Sharm el-Sheikh agreement. And I think it's something that he felt very, very bad about because, I think he truly believed that for peace and progress in India, We needed to resolve our, problems with Pakistan. We needed to open our borders for trade. But unfortunately, he was not able to achieve that, and that must be one of the regrets that he has gone with.
Right. So Aditi Fadnis, now the 1991 economic liberalization was perhaps the most landmark or significant turning point in India's economy. But how much of its success do you think we can attribute to Dr. Singh?
Oh, all of it, I think. It was a team. It was basically Manmohan Singh and P. Chidambaram who did all the heavy lifting. This was an era when my colleagues who covered trade policy could actually tell, till 1991 happened, who could actually predict on which paragraph what element of the trade policy would say what. It was so predictable. And I still remember on 7th of July 1992, Mr. Chidambaram sat all night, all day. Much later, he told me that. He sat a straight, I think it was around 32 hours, and rewrote the entire trade policy. Dr. Manmohan Singh told him what he expected from it, and it was such a brilliant document because it merged seamlessly with the kind of reforms that Dr. Manmohan Singh was trying to do. So this kind of synergy is very rare and quite hard to find in a government which is attempting such an important rewriting of India's economic policy.
Speaking of India's economic policy as well, when he was finance minister as well as after he became the prime minister, in terms of economic reforms and the momentum that he provided to India's economy, what do you think stands out the most?
It's hard to say that any one thing that stands out, but he restored India's credibility in world eyes. I think that included steps to get back gold, which was pledged, which was in popular image and imagination a dreadful, terrible thing to happen. He also organized the devaluation. We saw the kind of crisis that accompanied demonetization, which was a sort of a similar upheaval in India's monetary system. But devaluation had to be managed very carefully. Overnight, India's fuel bill would have gone up, everything would have gone up. And I think he put in place things that made sure that at least most of India was cushioned against economic shock. So for that alone, I think we must be very grateful to his understanding as an economist, as a Reserve Bank governor, and as a trade economist with a very fine understanding of commerce. For that alone, I think we need to be very grateful to him as a nation.
All right, it is an end of an era. One of the finest statesmen, one of the finest economists, and one of the finest human beings, Dr. Manmohan Singh. He has passed away. He passed away on Thursday night. The former Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, he was widely recognized as the architect of India's economic reform, especially since the early 1990s. He was 92 years of age. A 7-day state mourning has been declared and all flags are flying at half-mast. These are live pictures that you can see from the Nigambodh Ghat. The Congress President, Mallikarjun Kharge, he's paying his final tributes to Dr. Manmohan Singh. You could also see the Prime Minister, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, along with the Defence Minister there, and other dignitaries who have arrived to pay their final respects to the former Prime Minister of India, one of the architects of India's economic reforms there. These are the live pictures that you can see of the last rites of Dr. Manmohan Singh. The mortal remains, remember, it was kept at the All India Congress Committee headquarters for an hour from 8:30 a.m. People from all walks of life, Congress workers, everyone, they paid their respects. state funeral is taking place with full military honors. Prime Minister is there. Congress, in fact, had urged the Prime Minister as well as the Home Minister to hold the cremation at a site where a memorial of Dr. Singh could be built. It was a life that Dr. Manmohan Singh lived. It was a life of service and achievement. Dr. Singh was born on September 26, 1932 in Gah in West Punjab, now in Pakistan. And his life, indeed, is a testament to his unwavering commitment to public service. He, in fact, earned his doctorate in economics from Oxford University and went on to serve in various capacities for the country. He was the chief economic advisor. He was the governor of the Reserve Bank of India. He was the head of the Planning Commission. He was the finance minister. He was then the leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha. He then became the 13th Prime Minister of India in 2004, remained the Prime Minister till 2014. My colleague Shreya Ghosh, she's there at the Nigambodh Ghat. Shreya, just take us through what all is happening there at the moment.
Earlier also, and yesterday also there were some events for cancelled. The party level, the BJP party level.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Rajnath Singh, Defence Minister, President, they're all here inside the Nigambodh along with other foreign dignitaries as well, the King of Bhutan, several ambassadors from Palestine, and other to mark who has left behind an incredible social economic legacy behind, an economist turned politician, an accidental prime minister, reluctant prime minister who was appointed rather than elected for 2 consecutive terms, is cremated at Nigambodh Ghat. And of course, we know we lost.
All right, we'll try and fix that line with my colleague Shreya Ghosh. In the meanwhile, Anushka Garg, my colleague, she's outside the All India Congress Committee headquarters. Anushka, just take us through what all happened today as far as Dr. Singh's final journey is concerned.
Well, certainly, Osama, and a very emotional day, not just for the Congress party workers, but also for the people across the nation, because what we saw is that not just people from the party, but from across the party lines have in fact participated in the last rites of the former Prime Minister, Mr. Manmohan Singh. Also, around 8:30, his mortal remains were brought to AICC headquarters, where top leaders from the Congress committee, as the CWC core members, participated, to pay tribute to the former Prime Minister. And also, what we saw is a formal procession took place wherein the leaders of army, several army chiefs with all state procession, in fact, took the mortal remains to its last journey. Now remember, after a certain while, Dr. Manmohan Singh would be walking into history, because what we are also seeing is that several people, participated in the formal procession that took place also in Nigambodh Ghat. What we are learning from sources is that several of the, people from outside of India have also participated in this whole procession. Be it the Prime Minister Narendra Modi, President Draupadi Murmu, and also several of the state elects have in fact reached the whole site where the last procession is about to take place at the Nigambodh Ghat. Now remember, a lot of controversy was seen around where the last procession would take place, wherein the Congress at the CWC meeting had in fact accused the centre that the centre is not ready to in fact give us a place that is befitting of the stature of Dr. Manmohan Singh, and that is why the memorial is now taking place at a common crematorium ground, that is the Nigambodh Ghat. Now, regarding all of this matter, the centre had in fact given a press release and had said that the trust is right now being in fact
allocated, and also place is to be earmarked for the memorial of Dr. Manmohan Singh. Also, what we are seeing is that but the whole procession is taking place with all the formal army chief are paying their respects to the former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh. And right now we're outside the AICC headquarters, where a few minutes back the procession took place, and several of the Congress leaders were in fact participating in this whole procession, and participated in the last journey of Dr. Manmohan Singh. Back to you, Sama.
Right. I also have my colleague Sunil Prabhu there outside the All India Congress Committee headquarters. Sunil, it has indeed been a very, very emotional day, not just for the Congress workers, and as Anushka was mentioning there, for a lot of people who loved Dr. Manmohan Singh, who believed in all the good work that he did.
So as we speak, you can see the King of Bhutan, who had a great relationship with Dr. Manmohan Singh, and really paying his last respects to the former Prime Minister. As these are the final moments, this is now the state funeral part, where finally, after the tribute that has been given by all dignitaries, finally, the national tricolor will be taken. He will be given a gun salute, and then the religious ceremony will be in. So we are at the last moments of Dr. Manmohan Singh's final journey. It's been a tumultuous last 3 days, I think, across the country, across the world. People cutting across party lines, cutting across whichever government they've been, and former people, really coming out from all walks of life to pay tribute to what was a simple, humble, minority Prime Minister of this country. A rare sight to see, and that's what we have seen right now. Of course, the President of India is now paying her last respects to the former Prime Minister, who is seen as the architect of India's economic reforms and taking it to great heights in the international sphere.
Absolutely, Sunil Prabhu. You're absolutely right. In fact, I'm also currently joined by Prabhu Chawla as well as Neerja Chaudhary at the moment. Prabhu Chawla, the editorial director of New Indian Express, he joins us. Sir, welcome to NDTV. We have been talking about his achievements as a politician. I want to talk to you about the kind of a person that he was. He has indeed left a legacy of integrity and humility, something that very few people, that you can say about very few people.
Yeah, Susie, I must tell you that I've been a part of his journey, 50 years journey, amazing journey from professor in Delhi University to Prime Minister of India. It was a journey which went through hills and valleys. He has suffered with his setbacks, but he was always on the top. I knew him as a lecturer because he was a professor of Delhi School of Economics, where I was a student in 1966. And he was my teacher there, and he was so humble, and his voice was so low, as it has been to the last, that all of us, the students, young student girls and boys, used to sit in front there and below his desk to listen to him. So he was a very humble, very meeting everybody, looking after the student, and he would give lectures once, twice a week, and we would go there. And from there, I've seen becoming the secretary to the government of India, then becoming RBI governor, then becoming chairman of the Prime Minister Advisory Council of Chandrasekhar, and from there he became the UGC chairman, and then became finance minister, then he became the Prime Minister of India. But I must give you one or two anecdotes which were important because that are relevant as explains his conduct, how he was conducting himself.
Mr. Chawla, Mr. Chawla, I'm extremely sorry to interrupt you. The gun salute is happening at the moment. So the state funeral of Dr. Manmohan Singh there taking place with full military honours. These are live pictures that you can see from the Nigambodh Ghat. You see the President of India, Draupadi Murmu, along with the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, there paying their last respects to the former Prime Minister of India there.
देख सकते हैं कि राष्ट्रपति भी निगमबोध घाट पर मौजूद हैं, जहां उन्होंने श्रद्धा सुमन भावपूर्ण तरीके से अर्पित किए डॉक्टर मनमोहन।
All right, let me go across to Prabhu Chawla. Sir, you were saying something. Please continue.
Yeah. So I was talking about the journey from a professor in Delhi University to the Prime Minister of India, and I've been part of most of the time because I was a student. So I was telling you, when he became UGC chairman, that is the interesting part of it, because he has been always in the government service. And he has been following the discipline of a government servant, that he has to follow the rule book, he has to follow the files, he has to go beyond, he can't go beyond the rules. So he was a very simple person. When he became the UGC chairman, he was at that time Advisory Council chairman of the Prime Minister Chandrasekhar chairman. And when Chandrasekhar resigned, and he went to him, sir, I have been part of the government for many years, almost 40 years, 30 years, and what do I do after this? Because he wanted to have some kind of a responsibility. And I must tell you, because Chandrasekhar, who was otherwise the acting Prime Minister at that time, as a code of conduct, he could not have appointed anybody else. But because it was Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was respected by everybody, who was respected across the party line, which is reflected today in his morning, what is happening there, across the party. So he went out of the way, only Prime Minister who, after resignation, made an appointment like UGC chairman. That reflected the acceptability of Dr. Manmohan Singh as a person of high integrity and dependability. When he became finance minister, that is another story, because I was that time Indian Express editor. And I was to interview Mr. Narasimha Rao at his house in Motilal Nehru Marg. I was sitting there in the morning when I went there. He was talking to somebody, I didn't know who was. Later on, he told me he was talking to whom. So he said, Prabhu, you sit it down because you are an editor, you should not be listening to what I am saying, but I trust you. So what happened that he was talking to Mr. I.G. Patel in London at that point in time and requesting him to become the Finance Minister of India. Perhaps I.G. Patel, later on Prime Minister himself, told me that I.G. Patel suggested Dr. Manmohan Singh's name. Dr. Manmohan Singh, being a liberal left economist, demand-side economist, and because his stint at UNITO was much more liberal, that he believed in a different kind of economics. But Patel assured Narasimha Rao that he'll be part of your economic agenda. Whatever economic agenda you say, Dr. Manmohan Singh will faithfully implement. So Dr. Manmohan Singh was not the first choice of finance minister, but he became the second choice. He became the first state finance minister of India. He carried out all the reforms. Of course, credit must go to Narasimha Rao because they allowed it to do what is work. Because basic principle, basic idea behind Dr. Manmohan Singh was that he was acceptable to international community in his economic people. IMF, he has good relationship because he had worked in the United Nations and he has secret parleys with them, all of them. There were conditionalities imposed because economic reforms would not come without conditions. So they wrote a full memorandum of association to the IMF, which we carried on the front page of Indian Express. Dr. Manmohan Singh got angry next day when he was finance minister. He said, Prabhu, I never expected it from you. But what I'm telling you that he would implement. He was concerned about the country. Okay, how it can progress. So he tweaked his ideology to mix the politics of that day. So it was a very balancing act, fine, pragmatic balance, which he did between politics and economics and brought the company to the verge of developing to one of the finest economy today. It was the foundation laid was based at the time. Then he became Prime Minister. Everybody knows that he became not the first choice of the Prime Minister. Sonia Gandhi was the first choice. And Sonia Gandhi made him the Prime Minister. For 5 years, he carried out the economic politics of Sonia Gandhi. All the economic reforms, he was a welfare economist at that time. You had Manrega, your Right to Information Act, you had Kisan, that 60,000 crore rupees which was given away at that point in time. So it was in 2004 to 9 that it was Manmohan Singh who laid the foundation of a strong economy. 2008, you saw what happened, meltdown happened at that point in time. India was the only country which survived that meltdown.
Absolutely.
Because of the strong economic policy of Dr. Manmohan Singh. Even the nuclear deal, he stood his ground. Maybe his head was always high, but his shoulders were sometimes down. That was a different issue because of political compulsion. So 2004, he was a nominated Prime Minister. He was not elected as his own right. But 2009 victory of the Congress Party from 140 odd seats to 206 seats, contribution was primarily of Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, who created middle class of India.
Absolutely.
Middle class of India, cutting across religious and everything, supported Dr. Manmohan Singh. The victory of 2009 of Congress Party was because of Manmohan Singh, and today the Congress Party has lost a credible brand on which it was riding for the last, this kind of thing they are doing now. They never did him for him when he was in power. But now they think Manmohan Singh is the only asset. Like after Nehru, if they have to project somebody who built modern India, they will try to put Nehru and Manmohan Singh at the same pedestal. That is what they're trying to do now.
Absolutely, sir. And in fact, I was watching one of his interviews that he gave in the late 90s. And funny that you mention it regarding him being the finance minister at that point of time. In that interview, he mentioned that I didn't think I was going to be the finance minister for as long as I was.
You're right, absolutely right. Because there was so many problems at that point in time. And after the scam happened, that was the biggest stock exchange at that time. The scam happened, and he took one upon himself. JPC was appointed, he was explained to everybody else. At point of time, he was willing to resign also. But Mr. Manmohan Singh was supported fully by Narasimha Rao at that point in time. So the entire party was behind him. Narasimha Rao, because Narasimha was not, there was no good relation between Sonia Gandhi and Narasimha Rao, and the Congress party split. People walked it away, but Manmohan Singh did not walk away with Arjun Singh, Sheila Dixit, etc., who left the party. But in spite of that, Sonia Gandhi chose him. That is what is reflected, because many Congress previous presidents have died, prime ministers have died, but then Narasimha Rao died. Congress party never bothered about them. Sitaram Kesi died, Congress party, nothing was done about him. The Congress party gave him this extra going out to the way, and because they know Dr. Manmohan Singh commands respectability, not as a minority person. They are trying to invoke today the minority thing by asking that he is being denied the right to be cremated, the same spot where Atalji and everybody are doing that. But BJP is quite smart. BJP has done, okay, we will do it. Government of India will appoint a trust in which the land will be given. So there is another, other than Nehru, there is another person from the Congress party who has a pride of place among the leaders of the country. Therefore, this bringing him down to the sixth level, I think they are undermining the personality of Dr. Manmohan Singh. Dr. Manmohan Singh may be a weak prime minister second term. That is tragedy, because people will not forgive him for that he could have asserted himself. He was the person who had a mandate of 2009 behind him, but he did not. Even one of the editors meeting, he told us that he is bound by compulsion of coalition. But compulsion of coalition, he could not appoint his cabinet minister, he could not sack his cabinet minister. Second term, which he could have utilized himself to be, because he had the mandate, he did not do it. But at the end, even today, Manmohan Singh is the brand of the Congress party, which no Congress party doesn't have anything else. So they are therefore celebrating this in that way, playing him at a pedestal which is Nehru, Gandhi, equalizing themselves. And Manmohan Singh was unifier. As a prime minister, he would consult Raji much more often. I remember many cases, I can't disclose it here. And he was so simple, humble man. Anybody could go. I met him twice, thrice. After that, he stopped meeting journalists also because of the political compulsion. But he never behaved like a prime minister when he was meeting people. He was a prime ministerial candidate, which everybody on the global table, top table, he was invited. All the president I have seen, people taking away, respecting him, but giving him the first place. So he was a top-rated international type of statesman, political leader, who did not assert himself as much as he should have done.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. I also have with me Neerja Chaudhary. Ma'am, you know, we have been speaking about Dr. Singh's integrity and humility, but, you know, his legacy, it extends far beyond his impressive list of achievements. Just shed some light on that.
You know, of course, Prabhu has spoken at length about his legacy and his career. One of the few people who had the kind of exposure and experience that Dr. Manmohan Singh had. He was an academic who came into bureaucracy, and in bureaucracy, finance secretary, UGC chairman later, RBI governor, chief economic advisor to the prime minister. And then, of course, 1991, later they called him an accidental prime minister, but he was also an accidental finance minister. When Narasimha Rao chose him, and it was Venkatraman, the then president, who used to say that it was my idea, and I told Narasimha Rao that first go for I.G. Patel, and then he said no, then go for Narasimha Rao. I'd go for Manmohan Singh. And P.C. Alexander was deputed to go and see him, wake him up in the morning and tell him he was going to be the finance minister of India. So he strayed into this, and of course then he became the leader of the opposition for several years, and finally the Prime Minister of India. Not just the Prime Minister of India, he navigated a very difficult coalition for 10 long years. And it wasn't easy because, as Prabhu was saying, the mandate was for Sonia Gandhi to become Prime Minister. She'd been elected as the leader of the Congress Parliamentary Party, of the UPA Parliamentary Party, and the president was all set to give her a letter inviting her to form the government. And then she decided that she would not take it, and decided it would be Dr. Manmohan Singh. So implicit in that model of coalition was power sharing with her and the party. And the division that, they would refer to all the time, though, how with the Prime Minister, politics can be separated from administration and governance is another subject. But Dr. Ahmed Patel, who was the political secretary of Sonia Gandhi, would often say in frustration, Dr. Saab, but this is our area. This was particularly during the long months when the Indo-US nuclear deal was being debated, or, was going through the motions of getting passed through various hurdles. And so he was supposed to look after governance. She was supposed to look after politics. And the point is that for 10 long years, it was not only very difficult allies that he had to contend with, and he threatened to resign several times, but did not do so in the end. So he moved with grace even at that time. But it was the Indo-US nuclear deal which forged a new and strategic relationship. I wouldn't say new because Atal Bihari Vajpayee had also initiated that, but strengthened the strategic relationship with the United States of America. It was there that you saw the killer instinct of Dr. Manmohan Singh. He just would not give up. He just would not let up. And he staked his government. And Sonia Gandhi was opposed to it to begin with. Then she came around and the left parties threatened to withdraw support. He mobilized the support of the Samajwadi Party, initially opposed to the deal. And then they came on board, the government survived, and the deal went through. But it showed a side of Dr. Manmohan Singh few thought existed. And because, people used to say he's a political novice. Of course, they used to joke he's an economist amongst politicians and politician amongst economists. So, what will the country remember him for? If you go by the tributes that are being paid today by ordinary people, it's what Prabhu has talked about: humility, self-effacing, didn't push himself forward, understated leadership. And the question that comes to my mind is, are these qualities that people are now valuing that were associated with Dr. Manmohan Singh, is there a change taking place in the mood of the country? Mr. Narendra Modi succeeded him. This Moni Baba that the BJP used to attack him for, today is that Mon being appreciated that much more in, decency in politics. Is that what people are looking for? And I would also say, today in death, he's become a symbol of unity. Absolutely. He, in his last months, would talk about this, how Absolutely. He was most exercised about bitterness between the two sides. But today, both sides are there together.
True. And we speak about his humility and honesty and transparency, but we rarely talk about his unassuming leadership style. And more importantly, Nirja ji, his willingness to listen.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Willingness to listen. He spoke very little, spoke very softly. You could barely hear him when he would speak, particularly in the last months. And that is true. But that the government has agreed to have a memorial in his name is even the contention in politics of late and what we've seen in Parliament in the recent winter session, and that they should do it for a leader of the Congress. And I must say, this is probably the first leader, maybe after the 50s, who has non-Nehru Gandhi family, who's had this kind of a funeral, and one who's not died in harness. He was Prime Minister 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
So,
yep. True. Absolutely, ma'am. In fact, Prabhu Chawla, not a lot of people give credit to Dr. Manmohan Singh with respect to the vision that he had and his ability to think critically and strategically about India's future.
No, that's no. You can see that everybody is giving credit for everything else. As India is today becoming the third largest economy, on the verge of becoming the third largest economy, is because of what foundations Dr. Manmohan Singh laid. Because making the economy grow by lifting the curbs in terms of various rules and regulations, Dr. Manmohan Singh started it. And he did it at that time very, very forcefully as finance minister and later on as Prime Minister of India. So he had a determined agenda. He had a target mission in mind. He would not talk about the mission, which most of the politicians do now. He would follow the mission with a missionary zeal. So he was a missionary, quite missionary, who knew what was good for the country. He was mixing welfare economics with market economics. He was expert in that. But at the same time, I said to you earlier, he created about 150 million strong middle-class economy by making them to invest in the market as well, and by giving the tax concessions at the same time. He was the best finance minister, which was followed by the best second finance minister, was Jaswant Sinha, who also introduced what he laid the foundation for economic reform. No other government had the guts even to reverse some of the processes even. Not even one of them. Everybody, there was a continuity of anything else. They might have forgotten. But in the Indian establishment, continuity of Manmohan Singh's legacy and economic reformer continues even till today in Modi's government as well. So that is what the contribution Dr. Manmohan Singh has. His politics may not be continued. He may not be remembered about as the most strong person, but he was remembered for setting certain rules for how the ground realities and agenda for the country to go forward. But that is a different thing that he was the Prime Minister. People remember because he was forced to appoint a Principal Secretary who was once a district magistrate of Rajiv Gandhi constituency. Pulak Chatterjee was appointed. There were some of the ministers, some of the choices in the first term. There was a National Advisory Council which was dictating the terms, but he was accepting them because he thought they were good for the country. Later on, the scandals got into it, 2009 to 13, 14, that was a scandalous year. But he's getting the respect because he never offended his worst enemies. Once he had to apologize. I'm giving an example because nuclear deal was going on and there was BJP was opposing it left and right and center. And then he tried to reach out to Vajpayee. He was at that time and it was active before that, before the nuclear deal started. He said, okay, I'm sending my national security advisor to discuss with you the possibilities of what can be done. What happened instead of national security advisor, who decided till today is not known, then one of the industry leader, important entrepreneur, one of the big enterprises now running the company, I won't name him, along with the CIA General, the Secretary General went to see Atalji. Atalji got very furious at that point in time. He called the Prime Minister office and told them, what is this? You're sending me somebody else, I can't discuss it with industrial leaders, this kind of thing happening there. Manmohan Singh himself went called upon PG later on and apologized for miscommunication, what happened between his office and the people who ended up. So this kind of personality, no Prime Minister will accept this kind of mistake this happened. So this Prime Minister was always concentrating everybody and whatnot. And once when I asked him in one of the meetings, he said, why you are suffering this kind of humiliation? The perception is that Sonia Gandhi runs the whole thing. I remember even the Foreign Secretary was appointed. Manmohan Singh had chosen a particular person as Foreign Secretary later on. But that Foreign Secretary, Sonia Gandhi, suspected that he was close to the BJP. So he was not appointed, but he accepted it. I'm just saying when I met him, I asked him once, because I never met him quite often. He was my teacher, so he was willing to talk to me earlier, but later on he did not meet any journalists. So I asked him, why are you doing this? He said, Prabhu, you don't forget it. I was not the electoral politics. I was appointed Prime Minister by Gandhi Parivar. So I cannot forget that I am their nominee here. If they have certain reasons to do certain things, why should I question? Because they are in politics. I am not in electoral politics. Therefore, he accepted them as the political guiding force because of them, the Congress party has won. So this kind of adjustment happening within the Congress party, within the coalition partner, outside the coalition partner. He knew the art of bringing everybody together according to his point of view. He may not agree with them, he may not be able to carry out with them. So Manmohan Singh was a person who could compromise on the basis of what was good for the country, and which would not destabilize the existing relationship between political parties. Now we are going to the confrontation politics. Manmohan Singh never believed in confrontation politics. Absolutely. He was always for a dialogue. He believed in democracy, where dialogue was the most important ingredient of a healthy democracy. So I would say, now the Congress party is celebrating when he was alive. They did not give him that much of respect which was required, but they are giving him respect. All the Gandhi Parivar members are present there. So you have said the old Manmohan Singh dead, but the Congress party, new Manmohan Singh has become alive now. He is giving them the guidance now as the former Prime Minister who made India great, who survived the whole thing. That is what is happening now.
Absolutely, sir. And it is always fascinating to listen to you, Prabhu Chawla, as well as Neeraj Chaudhary. Do stay on with us. We'll take a very short break and we'll be back with more.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
Mahakumbh, a festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
NDTV shines with 38 prestigious wins at the News Television Awards 2024. Powerful journalism to cutting-edge digital innovation, production excellence to regional leadership. NDTV sets the benchmark. 38 awards, each a testament to your trust in NDTV. NDTV stands for trust.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
This week on India Ascends.
Will Myanmar's junta chiefs see the same fate as Syria's Bashar al-Assad? Beijing in limbo as Xi's purge extends to his own men? How Trudeau's own misgivings are likely to become his end? And broken souls in a broken system, why young Wall Street bankers are getting by using ADHD pills.
All this and more only on India Ascends with me, Gauri Dwivedi, at these timings on the NDTV network.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring
in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
Mahakumbh, the festival of faith, the world's biggest spiritual festival, the divine dip at the spiritual Sangam, a sacred confluence of faith, culture and heritage. NDTV's mega coverage of the Mega Fest. NDTV at Mahakumbh 2025.
2024, the year that was, when India welcomed Ram. When India decided,
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी,
when Jammu and Kashmir turned a historic leaf.
As Chief Minister for the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir.
When India mourned. When India celebrated. When India protested. When India felt proud. When India scaled new heights. NDTV brought it all to you. Your trusted news destination. Yesterday, today and tomorrow.
Welcome back. These are live pictures that you can see from the Nigambodh Ghat, where Dr. Manmohan Singh, the former Prime Minister of India, is being laid to rest. The Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, the President, Draupadi Murmu, the Union Home Minister, Amit Shah, as well as the Defence Minister, Rajnath Singh, along with Sonia Gandhi there, sitting, paying their tributes, paying their last respects to the former Prime Minister. And I'm still currently joined by Neerja Chaudhary as well as Prabhu Chawla. Ma'am, we have been speaking about the kind of a person that he was, the kind of a personality that he was, and a very important quality that Dr. Manmohan Singh had was his commitment to accountability. And I remember on the 12th of August in 2005, he in fact nobody would have thought, and he in fact expressed his regret in the Rajya Sabha and apologized for the 1984 anti-Sikh riots. He didn't need to, but I remember he said that I have no hesitation in apologizing to not only the Sikh community, but also to the nation. I bow my head in shame that such a thing happened. Speaks volume about Dr. Manmohan Singh, and his words in fact were a testament to his commitment to accountability and his efforts to promote national unity and reconciliation.
Yeah, this is correct. That statement is something that, the country, the Sikh community and others will remember for a long, long time, because it put to rest something that as a nation we'll take a long time to live down. I saw him last year. And one of the things he said to me was that I have done nothing in my life that I need be ashamed of. Those are big words. And I'd asked him, when Rahul Gandhi tore up that ordinance publicly, why did you not resign? So he said, he thought about it, but he said that Rahul Gandhi came to me afterwards and he apologized. So another thing that's very interesting that Prabhu mentioned also, in the 2009 elections where he came into his own, after the successful completion of the Indo-US nuclear deal, that really was a feather in his cap, and he'd seen it through, and he'd become his own person that much more. And then he dealt with the 2008 economic mess in the world, in the Western world, very successfully delinking India from the world economies. It was actually the 2009 206 tally of Lok Sabha that Congress got was attributed also to Manmohan Singh, that it was because of him also. And the middle class, the new middle class in India, that had, because of the economic reforms, and many of the middle class people had their children and relatives in the US. So even though they didn't understand the intricacies of that deal, which led to a strategic partnership with the US, they understood that it was firming up a new relationship with the United States, which they welcomed. And he was, the Congress party had won, and I remember in 54 urban seats. So that, that was a proof that the middle class